All right, guys, I want to take you on a little tour here and show you this Yoshan roaster and kind of all the features. And, you know, because I think that a lot of people, when they're looking at these roasters, they don't quite trust the build quality, especially if they're going to be ordering one from China. So let me take you. This is our kind of like our display table here. You've got your power, your heating, your timing, your cooling, and your mixing, right? You're going to probably be focusing on these three or these two for most of your roast. Your timer here just kind of like sets your timer, and that's just for you. This is the manual timer to show you on here. Artisan will also have a timer going, but this is a good one to have. And your reset is right there, and it easily resets, and this is what you'll have to do manually between each roast. You kind of get used to it over time. With your fan controls here and there, all of that is right here on your kind of like your control panel. Your gas controls are all gonna be right here. There's two different knobs for your control panels. This one you adjust when you first set up, and then this one you adjust when you're adjusting your gas during your roast. If you could see the KPA gauge right up here, and I adjust it left and right, that's how I adjust. It's it's like minimal turn. I'm going maybe a quarter of the way around to almost get to the very top. Got it? So it's very, very soft, easy controls. Other things that you might want to check out, you're going to see there's a little bit of a tray catch here. This is where all your green beans potentially fall out. Tiny little pieces, because your drum on the inside, which I'll show you guys from a certain angle, your drum on the inside, you know, little pieces, specks fall out because there's holes on both sides of the drum. Moving over to our probes here, you have two probes on every roaster, basically, or two major probes. You have one for bean temp, and then you have one for air temp. This bean temp probe is a 5mm probe, and it was kind of too big, and that was giving me really, really sharp, or slow, I should say, readings in Artisan when I was getting my bean probe readings. So I messaged Yoshan, and they were really cool about it, and what they did was they sent me a 3mm, that's this one, and a 2mm. Actually, they sent me two 3s and two 2s. I only installed the 2mm, which is what this is right here, and I installed it into the old position where this 5mm one is, which is why it's hanging out here, and I just didn't take the time to remove it. But all of that takes place right under here. You just remove these panels, this panel right here, and you can get right inside, or you can remove this tray in order to access some of the main controls. I'm keeping this warm. It's still running. I don't want to touch the roaster too much because I'll burn myself, so I have to be really careful. And I'm also going to keep the heat kind of low, running in the background. One of the things that you have to do for maintenance when you're doing this roaster, which I've made a video about, is actually lubing up this front bearing. This front bearing needs to be lubed up. You can get this at a place called Granger, or you can get it on Amazon, I'm sure, as well. It's super lube, silicone, and you have to make sure that it says food grade right there, but it has to go over 500 degrees. And otherwise, if you don't do that and you get a cheaper one, which I did at first, it'll smoke, and then that smoke gets into your coffee and it just messes up everything. So this is what you want. You won't get any smoking with this. I've had this for years now, and it's like almost as if I just bought it brand new, because the amount you use is just a tiny bit on your finger. You remove and you just lube up your bearing, and it just really takes a minimal amount. So I try to lube every couple of months, maybe every 20 or 30 or 50 batches, depending. Like I can kind of, I just kind of guesstimate it, but basically every couple of months I'll lube, and it only takes 5 minutes. You just have to remove those four bolts, everything slides off, and then you use this. I want to show you guys this one of the things you'll have to clean is underneath your drying rack, your cooling tray. What's great about Yoshan and the Yoshan roaster is it's really easy to remove this, right? And I'm sure as you get up into the higher kilo roasters, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. You'll want to see underneath. And check that out. You could see all of the pieces of kind of beans, roasted beans, that have kind of taken a hit, and they've cracked and they've gone through my cooling tray, which is why there are holes in the bottom of your cooling tray. But you do have to clean this out periodically. And I do it once every couple of weeks. I'll do that, and I'll make sure that I clear those out. I didn't realize I needed to do that at first. And I don't know if you noticed, there was those wires underneath as well, and those were the wires. That's where you would be changing out your bean probe cables. They easily swapped out. I didn't realize this when I first purchased this, and I went under there and it was like piles and piles of beans. So, live and you learn, or learn from my mistakes. Just get in there with a little vacuum, a little shop vac, and suck all of that out, and then problem solved. You don't really have to worry about lubing the bearings here on each side of your door. They don't really get that much of a beating, but you can lube them up if you want to. Totally fine. If you see my setup here, I'm different than what a lot of guys or women would do when setting up their cooling trays. And we're still not there, but they're exhaust. The way that I structured it in my garage was I wanted something I could remove and move my roaster around and then put back on, and then store back away. Traditionally, what someone would do is they would come out of this fan, the exhaust fan, and go straight up, or they would kind of go up and then out a back door or a back wall. I chose not to do that because of the mobility. I wanted to keep that mobility, but it does kind of, maybe it has an effect on some of my roasts because this air has to travel laterally rather than vertically up. Hot air travels up much faster and easier rather than this fan having to pump it out the side about, maybe 10 feet. What you'll often see with this cooling tray is you'll see a marrying of the exhaust and the cooling tray exhaust coming together and then all going out the same exhaust hole in the ceiling or the wall. What I chose to do was something that I discovered from a roaster in the UK, and he put one of these this is a screen for making like yogurt, and it allows me to catch the little bits of chaff, and if I squeeze it, you'll kind of see it kind of drip off. It does make a tiny bit of a mess, but it's not terrible, right? It's totally manageable. So it catches all this. I empty it out probably every month or so, and it's dropping out in my hands. As you can see, it makes a little bit of a dusty mess. Not that big of a deal because I didn't want to have anything that was fixed in terms of my exhaust. I wanted it all movable. And this was a great solution for me, and that's why I utilized that. This also has like a little bit of nifty light, which makes it a big difference when you're looking through the viewing glass. That helps. And you can also access, by the way, all of the gas is here, and you can see inside where we have 5 different burners that are happening right now, 2 on each end and 1 down the middle, and that's basically how we heat our roaster. A really great setup, and I'll show you they give you a little toolbox when you order this. They give you an extra burner just in case. But what I found that just with the bean probes, Yoshan is really good at sending out any pieces that you might need or replace, whether you need to replace something or you maybe want to upgrade something and you want, they're pretty good. They can get stuff to you within a week, maybe not as quick as if you had a Probot or a Dedridge or, Mill City, but fast enough, and for the cost, it's a great thing. One of the things I wanted to show you how to do it, and you could do this during your roasting. If you're roasting, in here is our chaff collection. If you look at a peanut and you've got that little red exterior piece, it's almost very paper-like. That collects, it kind of runs through your exhaust out here, it gets caught in this little silo, and then it drops into this chaff collection, and then the air goes out, right? So this is kind of what this is. This is a silo that lets the chaff kind of collect down here. I'm going to turn my air off, so this way you can easily see, without it kind of spraying everywhere, all the chaff. And all you do is, see how it's almost full because we've been roasting for, a couple hours? It's almost full, and what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna quickly, and that's it. You always want to make sure that you're not letting your chaff overload. You'll see, I've done it before, you'll see the top, it gets stuffed in there, and then the tops of it start to turn black because they're starting to light. And that's why you need to basically make sure that you're always emptying it out. And you'll know when you do. Mine is 5 roasts. Generally, I'm full. And that's how many roasts I've done today. I've done 5, roasting for about an hour and a half roughly. And I've done 5 roasts. And so now I need to empty out that chaff. And this is, if you have a shop vac, boom, it's that quick. You just empty it out, turn your fan off, so this way it's not blowing around, and just quickly suck it out. Takes 10 seconds. Just do that. Make that your habit. From Yoshan. Okay, they give you this in your case. This is an extra USB cable for connecting your roaster to your computer, and then you also get a little bit in one of these Allen keys, and this Allen key thing fits every single one. I think they sent me 2 of these, but it fits, you know, it basically everything you need to do with your roaster can be done using this. So that's always good. You get your extra gas. These clips are for your exhaust vents. When I hooked up my exhaust, these are just some clamps you need. You get some, there are some fuses and some extra attachments for your, you know, for your gas and such. And I haven't blown a fuse. I've been using this thing for 5 years. I've never blown a fuse, but I've got 2 here, and then there's 2 more right here. They've given me like extra like bolts and small ones of these clamps just in case I need it. You've got this, which I don't even know what the hell I'd use that for, but they gave me it. And then the other thing that everybody messes up, but I luckily didn't, is they give you a backup pressure gauge, KPA pressure gauge. And why? Because so many roasters, when they're setting up their gas, they don't pay attention to their PSI, and they blast this gauge, and it goes way beyond 6 kPa, and it just breaks it. And so what it allows you to do is it allows you to basically just have a backup. This one's nice and new. If you see mine, it's got a little bit of like rust on there from just being out in the garage and in the elements just a little bit. But this is one of the things that they also give you. If you didn't, I know guys that have reached out to me saying they've blown their gauges. You can find one of these for like 10 or 15 bucks on Amazon. So even if you didn't want to wait for Yoshan to send you a new one, it would be probably a lot faster just to get one on Amazon. One of the things, you'll see this, you can order one of these. It's literally for roasting cooling tray brush, right? And it's this, and the whole intention here is to basically, in your cooling tray, you're pushing all those little specks that we saw underneath the cooling tray, you're pushing them through so you get some good airflow, right? That's what you're looking for. This damn thing cost me like 50 bucks, I think. I went to Home Depot and I found one of these things that cost me $3, I'm pretty sure, and it actually works better, and it's just easier to maneuver. So sometimes, you know, when you're talking about like buying stuff for your roaster, just because this is specifically meant for your roaster, you're probably just better off just getting something that's like simple. This is like a hard plastic I think this is like, it's part plastic and part metal bristles. You know, maybe if I had a huge roaster, I would want to use something like this, but I can probably get one like this for $5 that was twice the size and do the entire cooling tray in half the time. You know, maybe it takes me an extra 2 minutes. If you're interested in buying one of these, please reach out to me because I can get you a discount, I can get you a free gift, I can get you an extended warranty. Yoshan loves the fact that I make these videos, so they want to extend a discount to anyone that's watching these videos. But the only catch is that you have to reach out to me and I make the introduction. So email me, rob@ocdcoffeeclub.com, and I'm happy to make the introduction to the sales rep I work with, and we'll get you a roaster and roasting as soon as possible.